Hi everybody and welcome into this 9th episode of the Thoughtful Knitter video journal. My name's Ailie and I'm coming to you from the very far north of the Scottish mainland, where spring and winter are definitely battling it out. At the moment, spring seems to be winning. There is some sunshine. 10 minutes ago it was really heavy hail. So we're going to see how this goes. I think the light is going to go in and out a wee bit, and there might be times where all you can hear is hail or rain or snow battering the window. Yeah, so welcome in. It's lovely to see you all. I noticed a wee flurry of new subscribers this weekend, and I think that's entirely due to Casey of the Young Folk Knits podcast. So thank you, lovely Casey. And if you don't know about Young Folks Knits, please do check her out because I love her podcast. I'm all about the accent. I'm totally obsessed with Casey's accent. She is from Arkansas in the US and I love that drawl. She also makes lovely things. Yeah, so let's get into things. This is episode 9, take goodness knows what. If you saw my last video, I was having quite a lot of technical difficulties, so I'm re-recording at the moment, but I'm probably also going to have some input from that old footage. So you might see me in 2 different outfits today. I haven't had a wardrobe change, it's just that some of the footage is old. Yeah, so let's dive in with what I'm wearing, which is also my first FO. This fun jumper is Beetle Magic by Katie Green, who has the Green Bean podcast. I think I've mentioned her before, so there's another one to check out if you haven't seen her before. And I have knitted this for my sister's birthday, so I'm wearing it today and recording today, and then I'll get it all parcelled up and given to her, so hopefully I'm not going to stretch it out any. But yeah, this was knitted in, the main colour is navy, and it is Cascade 220 fingering, and the colourway number is 8393, and the contrast colour here is from Riverknits, Chimera. So this is the leftovers, so you can see it's kind of got like a barber pole effect, and it changes colour throughout. So this colourway is Aurora Borealis and is actually the colour that she uses for one of her sample knits. It has a little bit too much pink for my liking. My sister is not a fan of pink, and I did up here start, you know, cutting out the pink bits and bit splicing together, but because it changes so often it just became unworkable, so hopefully the pink won't put her off. Yeah, so this is quite a mammoth knit. I think I used, it was over 1,600 metres of yarn. It's a fingering weight pattern and it's knit on quite a tight gauge. So the needles I used were 3.25 millimetres, but I think the needle size called for in the pattern is 2.75. So yeah, it's quite a tight gauge. Obviously this bit is fun, the rest not so much. Lots and lots and lots of stocking stitch. I'll just get up in a wee minute to show you, give you an idea of the whole thing. But what I would say is this is a really well written pattern. The shaping and things is just perfect. But if you don't like catching your floats in colour work, then this is not the pattern for you, because there are some quite large areas where you've got I don't know, like 9 more 12 stitches without where you between your colours, so you're having to catch your floats. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I love it. And so these beetles are slightly different to these ones. They're slightly smaller. These have got curvy antennae. And yeah, it's really fun. I think my sister is going to like it. She is a countryside and nature buff, and loves everything, including insects. So yeah, I think she's going to like it. I'll just get up and show you. So it comes I knitted it to like mid-hip, and it's quite oversized. I think I knitted the 40-inch bust size, which is size I. This pattern has so many sizes in it. It goes from children's right up to men's. So very size inclusive, which is great, and fantastic that you can have little people versions as well, especially when it's something fun. Yeah, so I knitted it kind of mid-hip. My sleeves are pretty long, maybe too long, and I didn't follow the pattern at all. I went for very baggy, so I did hardly any decreases and then did a lot of decreases just before the ribbon. That may or may not be the best of ideas, but my thinking was, if this is an oversized jumper, maybe she wants it for like slouching around in, and big baggy sleeves make me think of kind of like a sweatshirty kind of thing. So that's what I went for. I think they could possibly be too long, like I said, but there's nothing worse than sleeves that are too short. So my thinking was, make sure they're plenty long enough, and she can either, you know, put the cuffs up, or I can just take some out, you know, just cut back and re-knit the rib further up. And yeah, so I'm very happy with it. It's a really nice weight of jumper actually. It does make all those inches and inches and inches of stocking stitch worth it. And yeah, it's a good weight. I know it's coming into spring here, but I do live in Scotland, so it's not the warmest of places. So I think she will still get use out of it in the next few weeks, and then obviously throughout autumn and winter next year. So yeah, there's not a lot more to say about the pattern, I don't think. The only other modifications I made is when it came to splitting for the sleeves, I put more of my stitches on the front than on the back. Instead of just like splitting half the stitches for the front and half for the back, I had more at the front. And I think that's it. I definitely knitted all of the yoke and body to pattern. I think I possibly knitted the body slightly shorter because it was getting to be really long, and I thought it didn't need to be that long. Yeah, and I've already told you what I did with the sleeves. I think if I was to do it again, I would actually follow the instructions. I don't tend to follow sleeve instructions because I always end up having to change them, but I think looking by what I ended up with, they probably would have been quite a well-fitted sleeve. So this is the pattern, and it is just adorable. You can buy it on her Etsy shop, and if I remember rightly, the paper pattern is slightly cheaper than the PDF, but with postage they work out round about the same. So I obviously went for the paper one because, well, it's gorgeous, but also I always print my patterns out anyway. Yeah, there's just all these lovely little pictures. Yeah, it's worth just buying it because it's so cute. I think that's all I really needed to say about the pattern. As I said earlier, it was really well written. It was a fun knit. It was a bit of a slog with, I'm not going to lie, the stocking stitch body on 3.25mm needles was quite a long knit, but I mean, you always have something else on the go, so it wasn't too bad. And yeah, I would recommend it. And even if you don't have an adult in your life who wants to be adorned with a neck full of beetles, I'm sure there's plenty of wee kiddies who are. So yeah, definitely recommend this pattern. So let's go on to the rest of my finished objects, which were already recorded a week and a half ago. So you're going to see an outfit change here, and then meet me back when we come to speak about works in progress. I have 3 finished objects this week, but the last one I'm going to speak about when I talk about the eclectic crafting make-along winners, because that was another craft, so it's not knitting, so I'll pop it in the same section. But my first finished object is, I had mentioned in my last episode that there were quite a few babies about to be born in March, so this is a wee jumper that I knitted for one of those little babies. So I showed you another little tank top that I did last time, and this is knitted in the same Zauberball. So it's Zauberball, I think the colourway was Monochrom. Yeah, the colourway number is 2263. And this pattern is called Welcome, and it's by a designer called Annika Heller. Now, you have to pay for it now, but when I got this pattern, it was probably about 3 years ago. It was free at that point, and it was called Welcome to the World. So I don't know if the pattern that I have knitted from is exactly the same as the paid pattern. Possibly not, because it wasn't the best pattern in the world. But yeah, it's just a very simple garter stitch design, raglan increases, and this part is open, and you then seam up until your buttons. I use these very cute buttons that I showed you last time. And yeah, I just then added on a wee cuff. What's it called when it's a short sleeve? Cuff still? I'm not sure, just added another one on there. Yeah, so this is, oh, it's so cute. So yeah, that's going to a co-worker's new baby boy. And now that I've shown you, I can parcel it up and send it on its way. I knitted, I think it was a size 4 to 6 months, but as I said, the pattern wasn't great. It told you to, you know, do so many increases until you had a certain number of stitches, or until you reached a certain depth. And I had already reached that depth well before I had the number of stitches that it said, and it also seemed plenty wide enough to me. So I mean, I started off knitting the 4 to 6 month size, but I'm not entirely sure if that's what I ended up with. And I knitted it on, I think it was a 3.5mm needle. But yeah, I'm quite chuffed with this. It's soft, and I mean, it's superwash and it's got nylon in it, so it should be something that can be taken care of relatively easy for a new mum. So yeah, that was my first finished object. And my second finished object, I'm afraid I don't have it with me. I had planned to have this episode recorded about a week ago, so that I could show you it, but my second finished object is a pair of fingerless gloves for my mum, which I gave her for Mother's Day, which was Sunday past in the UK. So I can show you the yarn, which is very like the colour I'm wearing. This is John Arbon, here's the tag here, John Arbon Exmoor sock, and the colourway is Drumble. So yeah, I knitted this for my mum because she, I think I've said previously, she's got a lovely joyful yellow coat, and I thought these would be quite nice. She had requested fingerless gloves because she tells me, I don't know this because I'm not a dog owner, but she tells me that the mitts I made her were lovely, but they're maybe not that useful because she needs to have her fingers free so she can open bags to put dog poo in, and also so she can like attach the little doggy's lead and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'll put a picture in. She's very happy with them. I saw her just an hour before I sat down to record this and she was wearing them. So that's always a joy when you see somebody wearing something and enjoying something that you have knitted. So the details are, I used the same pattern as I did for my gloves that I showed you in my last episode, and that is the textured rib gloves by Anne Budd. Again, I omitted the textured rib and just opted for a 2x2 rib. And I knitted a kind of in-between size. I measured my mum's hands and discovered that she was 8 inches round here. So I just adjusted the pattern a little bit to make it fit her. And she wanted the fingers to come right up to like over these knuckles because she has a little bit of arthritis in her knuckles. So they come to kind of like here. Yeah, and again they were as enjoyable as the first time I knit them. It just feels like a little bit of magic seeing these fingers appear, and the fact that you can have it that it fits exactly as you need it is, yeah, one of the great things about knitting your own garments and accessories, isn't it? So yeah, she was a very happy lady, and I'm a very happy daughter. Just a wee update on the gloves that I knit my mum before we move on to works in progress. They are about to turn into a work in progress again because she tells me that her puppy has gotten a hold of them and has put a hole in the cuff. So thankfully I still have some yarn left over, so it's about to get added back into the mending pile and see what I can do with it. Yeah, so watch this space. So let's move on to works in progress. I have 2 works in progress to speak about today. I've also been working away very diligently on my blanket, the Mitered Corner blanket by Pearl Soho, but I'm not going to show that every episode because, I mean, that'll just be dull, won't it? So yeah, instead I'm going to show you a couple of things that I have started or I'm working on. The first one is, I'm going to pop a picture in here of one that I've started. It is called Voice Beach by Jennifer Beale, and as you can see it's got a lovely lacy bit up at the top and then a colour work band and then a stocking stitch body. And we had some really beautiful weather at the end of March and I went full on into like, it's spring, I must knit all the t-shirts mode. So started swatching away for it and cast it on, and now we've gone back to winter. So yeah, I have 2 different projects that I'm going to show you. This one is a kind of spring summer knit, and the other one is definitely more of a colder weather knit. So it's just, I am so influenced by what is going on around me. I wish I could be one of these people who works ahead of time, so you know, starts knitting their spring knits a season ahead so that they've got them to wear at the right season, but no, I am definitely, whatever is going on weather-wise, temperature-wise, I channel it into my knitting, and very often end up finishing it just when that season is finishing. But I suppose I'll have it for next year. So yeah, so far I don't know how I'm going to show you this because it's just like a big long snake, but I am working on the lace part. These are all wee lines that demarcate each area. So you start with a provisional cast on. The pattern actually states that you should use a provisional cast on where you do it straight onto a cable of a spare needle. Now I did that and learnt how to do it and everything, but it was just really untidy. And I think the whole thought behind it, I think, is that you've already got it on a needle, so you don't have to then pick up these provisional cast on stitches. So I suppose it's easier, but I just thought it's going to be really untidy because this provisional cast on is going to be grafted to the end, and my Kitchener stitch is already messy enough without some loopy funny sized stitches on provisional cast on edge. So I did my usual and did a crochet cast on, and yeah, so it worked. It's very clever, as you can imagine. Jennifer Beale has really interesting constructions and designs. What I will say about this pattern is it's an older one of hers, so it's not very size inclusive. I am knitting size medium, I think. I didn't write it down, but I think I'm knitting size medium, and it only goes up to extra large, if I remember rightly. But anyway, let's talk about it. So this part here is worked sideways and flat. So this is going to be a sleeve, and then that's the front. This is the next sleeve. So you can kind of see it. And then I'm working my way across the back. So I just, before I started recording, I quickly took an iron and steam blocked this because it was rolled up terribly. Yeah, so it's a really easy lace pattern. I've been enjoying it. It's incredibly clever. You're shaping with short rows as well as working the chart. I would say it's not TV knitting, but I have been doing it in front of the TV. It's not horrendous. You know, you've got a bit of counting to do, but then you kind of know where you are based on your yarn overs and things. And it does follow a bit of a pattern that you kind of get into knowing, oh well, it's going to be after every 10th stitch or whatever. Yeah, so that's me working along the top part. Oh, it looks nice on camera. Yeah, I like that. So I'm knitting the body, the main colour, from this yarn here, which is Woolyknit Pure British Wool in the hank. I got it, and it is called, what's the colourway? Aran Natural. So that's what the body is going to be in, because I was wanting something brighter for spring and summer. And I have yet to decide what I'm doing for my colour work. I have gone swatching mad. I still don't think I have come to a decision, but I need to quickly, because I am very quickly approaching the end of the lace work, and then it's going to be picking up and working down for the colour work. So as I said, I had recorded a week and a half ago, and I have a section in there where I'm babbling on about my colour choices and swatching that I've done. So I'm going to insert that here for you to see, and after that I would love it if you could like comment down below and help me make a decision, because like I said, I'm fast approaching the point when I need to make one. Yeah, so join me in the past and see what you think about the colours. I went a bit daft on my swatches because I couldn't quite find the colour combination that I wanted. So this was my first swatch here. And this central colour here actually is the leftover yarn from my mum's gloves. But I have decided it's a no-go because this central section just looks really flat, and also the John Arbon Exmoor sock is a superwash yarn, I think, but it's also a woolen spun, no, worsted spun, whereas the others are all Jameson and Smith and Jamesons of Shetland, which are woolen spun Shetland yarns. So it's, you know, these all go into a really nice, almost like fab, I don't know how you describe it, where they all meld together, whereas this central one, the stitches stay quite distinct. So I'm not going to go for this. Yeah, I think these bits here, there's not enough contrast. But yeah, I suppose my thought behind it was the original design has like your body colour going into slightly, the background colour is your main colour, and then it gradually gets darker and darker, and then you have these contrasts that gradually get lighter. So that's what I was aiming for, and I really like the combination of like a kind of turquoisey blue and this kind of ochre yellow colour together, ochre orangey yellow. So that was my original, and then I thought, yeah, that's not really working. So I started swatching and swatching and swatching. So they're all slightly different, and what I'm doing is, I don't know if you know this as a trick, but if you use a mirror and you knit, so see this top one here, if you hold the mirror at the bottom in the middle, can you see that? You can see the full motif without having to knit the full motif. So I went a bit swatching daft, as you can see. They're all a bit different, but not that different. These ones here and this one at the top still go the same way of, you know, lightest background colour through to darker background colour, just at different variations of, you know, this one's only goes to that colour, this one goes to a deeper colour. Different options for extra colours at the edge, so like here I added in a brown, and then these ones here I did the opposite, so I've gone from the darkest background colour through to the lightest. This one I've started off with green, this one I've started off with a browner colour. I'm still unsure. I think of all of these I am leaning towards this top one here. This, going from the brown with the, you know, darkest background and darkest motif colour together coming towards lightest, and then just having that very lightest blue in the middle as a, like a sing line, an accent line. But what I might do, I haven't swatched this, but what I'm thinking is that maybe I won't do any of these and I just won't bother changing the background colour. I'll have a cream colour as the background throughout, and only change it in that middle line. Yeah, so basically I'm being indecisive, and if you have any thoughts on the matter, do please put your comments below. Help me make a decision. What do you think then? Yeah, I can't decide either. Anyway, let's move on to my other work in progress. So as I said earlier, I'm very much influenced by the seasons around me. So this past week it's been true lambing weather. It has been hail, it's been snow, it's been torrential rain, it's been gales, it's just been absolutely disgusting weather. And before the weather changed, I was very much not interested in knitting with big woolly jumper type things, but now I'm back into wanting to have all the warm knits. So I have pulled out something that I've had in hibernation for about a year now, and it is a pattern by Ankestrick. It's called The Green. I'll put a picture in of the designer's picture of the design. And I was knitting this, I think it was like early spring last year, or late winter, early spring last year. But the problem I came against was I was running out of yarn. This is the yarn. Let me find it. Here. And this is a 80% Blueface Leicester, 20% mohair blend. That's naturally dyed, and that's from Julie of Black Guile Yarns. This is called Calais Sock. This is kind of like a very heavy fingering, almost a sport weight really. And this stuff is beautiful. It's, you know, it's all locally sourced. I think when she first started producing this yarn, she was able to find UK based mohair, but it's now from South Africa. But yeah, Julie's all about provenance and environmental impact and, you know, good, what's the word? Good husbandry. So she selects all the fleeces herself, and then she has the yarn spun, and then she naturally dyes them. I ordered that back last part of 2018, and I mean the price of this reflects the work that goes into it, but for me I was just like, oh, it's so precious, it's so expensive, it's so precious, I need to make something wonderful that'll last forever out of it. So I sat on it for years trying to decide on the right pattern and going through goodness knows how many different ideas. Initially it was going to be, I think it was a Hochi Locatelli pattern, and I couldn't get gauge and I just decided against it. So went through quite a few different options, eventually settled on this one, the green, but ignored what it said about how much meterage you needed, because I tend to not need anywhere near as much as what the designers say, because I'm a tight knitter, so it means I normally have to increase my needle size, and the designers normally give you, you know, like a 10% wiggle room for swatching and things as well. So I thought I had plenty, but it turns out this slip stitch pattern really eats yarn. So yeah, I got this far and thought, I'm running out. And at that point, Julie hadn't dyed any Calais in this colourway for a long time, and she then discontinued that particular line. So I sat on it for a while, and I thought, the other thing I didn't like about it is the pulling. Like, there's quite a lot of pulling here, and I did alternate my skeins, but it still happened. I think there's some in the back too. Yeah, it looks worse on camera. It's not so bad when you're wearing it, but yeah, I'm not a fan of pulling. I thought, right, well, I can pull it all out and fix this pulling, or I can find another pattern, or so I left it for ages because of the mohair content. I thought, I really don't fancy pulling this out, especially when I've been alternating skeins as well. I just thought it was going to be a total nightmare. And then I was speaking to a knitting friend about it, and she suggested maybe colour blogging it. So I thought, oh yeah, that might work, because I've got some of Julie's Auchen base, which is a sport weight, and it's in a colourway called Seaweed. I actually used it for my Rothe Marcus cowl that, I can't remember when I shared that. That would have been my first few episodes, I think. Yeah, and I thought, well, it might look quite nice with this. So I kind of thought, oh, well, I might work part of the sleeves or the body. So yeah, I was still thinking about it. And then Julie relaunched Killeen sock, but as an actual 4-ply. So, and it's a different mill as well. So this is now what it looks like. It's got, let me see. Yeah, so it's 400 meters per 100 grams, whereas the original blend was, I think it was only 320 meters for 100 grams. Anyway, when she updated, there was some more of this colourway, and I thought, right, I'm gonna buy it and I'm just gonna see what happens. So my plan is to pull back some of the body, because I think it's maybe a bit short and maybe need to put another inch on, and pull back some of the sleeve, and then I'm gonna start alternating between the slightly thinner yarn and the slightly thicker yarn and hope for the best. But if you have any thoughts on the matter, it would be really good to hear, because I might be about to give myself a massive headache and make a terrible mistake that one of you can tell me about before I do it. So it would be really nice if you did leave a comment about that. So yeah, those are my works in progress. Okay y'all, I think that's everything I had to share with you today. Next episode we are going to be moving into double figures, which I'm quite excited about. It feels like a bit of a milestone, and I have a couple of things up my sleeve that I'm going to share then, one of which is going to be a giveaway. So if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe down below if you want to be sure to see that episode and be in with a chance of winning. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully it won't be so long until we're in each other's company again. Fingers crossed, the technology demons have been beaten into submission for now, and I can get this up and without too much delay. And yeah, just take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time. Bye.